Living with a chronic respiratory condition doesn't mean giving up the things you love to do. At Blue Zone Health, we're here to help you breathe easier and rebuild your strength. Our online cardiopulmonary rehab program offers tailored exercises, self-management training, and expert support from certified respiratory therapists. Accessible anytime, it's designed to reduce breathlessness, improve lung function, and empower you, all while connecting you with a supportive community. Visit bluezone.health and take the first step towards stronger lungs and a healthier future. Blue Zone Health. Breathe better, live better. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Cozy Lung Lounge. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about balancing physical activity with life and everything else you have going on. So I'm really excited to talk a little bit about this.
Nice to be back talking about physical activity this week.
Hi, everybody. Kelly here. Glad to be back talking about balancing our physical activity. Balancing it with what? So as much as you want to make your physical activity every day a priority, sometimes it's hard, especially if you've got babysitting duties or you've got a very busy social life or you've got someone else in your family you're taking care of, or maybe you still work. So we're going to go through some things that'll help you balance out your life. So you make sure you get your physical activity in, but don't wear yourself out trying to do it.
I have a hard time balancing physical activity with my home life. I'm quite busy with work and kids and other activities. This is going to be a really good discussion that we have today.
Well, I'm excited. And I think, first things first, before we talk about anything related to exercise, the most important thing is to remember that if you're going to start a new exercise regimen or you're going to start new physical activity, the first thing to do is check it off with your physician, especially if you've been a long time pulmonary patient and you're starting something new or you're trying to get into exercise. Please, please, please make sure that the number one thing you do before anything else is go see your doctor, go see your pulmonologist, and make sure that they are okay and they're comfortable with what you've got going on. And I know Kelly and Gina, you guys specifically talked a little bit about the 6-minute walk test in previous podcasts. So do you guys want to hit on that just real quick and explain why it's so important to check that before you start exercise?
Well, I think first of all, great point, check with your doctor, but sometimes that's easier said than done. So when we say check in with your doctor, sometimes depending on the health system that you're part of, there might be a health portal on your email, if you use email and a computer, where you can send a message to your doctor, and it's usually a nurse that picks it up, but you can send a message and just say, hey, one of my New Year's resolutions was I'm going to start walking. So do I need any permissions from the doctor? Do I need to see the doctor first? A lot of times they'll say, no, you're good to go. Maybe they'll look in your chart and say, well, you are on 2 liters of oxygen, maybe come in, what exactly are you planning on doing? But I think that just check in, as Amy said, and just let them know that you're going to start moving and getting active.
Now, that's something I've been doing all day long today, is 6-minute walk tests. Part of my regular job doing those. And I've had a lot of different people that came in today to do those tests. Many people were just checking in with their doctor to see if their activity level was appropriate. Do they need anything extra? So those people walked up and down the hallways, no problem, kind of give a little bit of monitoring to see how much distance they walked. So a 6-minute walk, you want to know how much distance you can cover in the 6 minutes. You also want to know how your oxygen level does and your heart rate does. So we use a pulse oximeter during the test. Now, I also had some people who are short of breath during the test. They still completed the test like anybody else, but they were a little bit slower. That's perfectly fine. I had another lady who wanted to get qualified for oxygen. Now, that's another kind of a 6-minute walk test that if you are low on oxygen, we can put you on oxygen and have you do some more walking. And that's the most important part of your exercise, is that if your oxygen level is low, you may need some supplemental oxygen when you exercise. So that's really, really some good rationale reasons to give your doctor for wanting a 6-minute walk test.
And it brings up an interesting point. A lot of times people are short of breath, but their oxygen levels are normal. So just because you're short of breath doesn't mean that you need oxygen necessarily. One of the things the 6-minute walk test can help us determine is that true? Is it just a mechanics problem more than an actual oxygenation problem? And I just want to add too, when you're doing the 6-minute walk test, it's not a race. There's no prize at the end. There's no blue ribbon. If you if you need to go slow, go slow. If you need to stop and take a break, because that's all part of the test. Because if I'm the one doing your 6-minute walk test and you have to stop 4 times for 45 seconds each, so be it. No judgment. It's all good. But that kind of tells me where you are. And if you didn't desaturate, that tells me about how much conditioning we need to do. And it gives us a lot more information than you think. But I'm just asking, when you do the test, be honest. Don't push yourself over the limit. Just do what you can do. That's all we ask.
And you can also do a 6-minute walk test on your own at home with your doctor's blessing. There's nothing fancy about it. I'm just asking the patients to walk for 6 minutes and monitor their oxygen level on their pulse ox. That's something that you can do also by walking to the mailbox and back, monitoring that.
Absolutely.
So now our testing is done. What's next?
Well, the next step is really to focus on creating a good schedule with your exercise. So when you exercise, you don't really, especially if you're starting out new, you don't want to just kind of do whatever comes to mind or do whatever you saw on TikTok, right? Exercise is very specific for each person, especially if you have been having concerns with your pulmonary health. So a lot of times, if you're new to the pulmonary health world and maybe you've just been diagnosed with something like COPD, sometimes you get referred to a pulmonary rehab program, which is a very tailored program, starts you from the very beginning with very basics and has somebody monitoring you the whole time and working with you to help you progress and get stronger and work on that endurance. So that happens a lot of times. But then sometimes either there's not room for you for 6, 12 months, which can happen because those programs get really full, or you may not be in need of a specific pulmonary rehab program, but we definitely want to make sure that we're doing exercise the right way. So if you're not following along with a traditional program, a few recommendations I have is to make sure that you're focusing on how many days a week that you're doing something and to start off really slow. Meet yourself where you are and don't overexert. So for example, our endurance piece, endurance is really good to practice 3 to 5 times a week. If you're brand new into the exercise world, start with 3 days a week. Find 3 days where you can do some sort of endurance exercise. And sometimes it'd be helpful to find something like cycling that isn't as intense on the body, especially if you have some concerns with knee pain or leg pain. And then with your strength piece, you want to practice this 2 to 3 days a week, especially when you're starting out, because your body needs plenty of time to rest and recover after doing all of that exercise. Because when you're doing strength exercises, you're actually breaking down your muscle so that it will build back stronger. So each time you do the strength exercises, you're doing that breaking apart to build it back stronger. And so your body needs that time to rest. So finding 2 to 3 days a week to do those strength exercises, it's much better than trying to do it 7 days a week when you're going to wear those muscles out so much that they don't have time to repair. And then our other 2 main types of exercise that we like to go to is flexibility and balance. And those can really be done every single day. Flexibility is such a great thing, not only just for your comfort and your range of motion, but it's really good for making sure that your rib cage stays nice and flexible and that you can take big, deep breaths. I guess that's just a little bit of advice about when to do it and starting off really slow so that you're not overexerting yourself and kind of tiring yourself out so that you don't do it anymore or you have to stop and take a long break.
And make sure that you're set up with what you need. In other words, if you're kind of iffy on your balance, then make sure you're working out next to a wall. Maybe you move the sofa away a little bit so you have the back of a chair, the back of the sofa to hang on to. When you hang on, don't hang on with all 5 fingers for dear life. See if you can get by with 2 fingers, and then maybe 1, and then maybe none. Go slow and take your time and breathe through all your exercises. I get a lot of people that come to rehab and they hold their breath while they're doing the weights, and they're holding their breath on the treadmill, and that's not the idea. So make sure that you're breathing, your pursed lip diaphragmatic breathing throughout, and make sure that you've got everything you need to support you. If you have too heavy of weights, you can get maybe some lighter ones. You could start with cans of soup if you need to. Just make sure that you have what you need. And for flexibility, this is a big one for me. When you stretch and warm up, it shouldn't hurt. It should not be painful. If you're reaching and crossing that pain threshold when you're just warming up and stretching, you've gone too far. So take it easy on yourself. Gently, gradually warm up. Eventually, you'll get more flexible, but it doesn't have to be by Friday. You can take your time with that.
That's one of my pitfalls. I always like to jump in and just do it all and do 5 days of exercise an hour at a time. And it doesn't last more than 3 or 4 sessions.
I think that that's so common for people. And I think the number one thing when you're thinking about doing exercise and you're starting something, like I said, it's really starting off slow, and everybody's different. Some people may be able to do 5 days a week and do an hour long, but that's not realistic for a lot of people. We all have jobs, we have responsibilities, we've got chores to do, taking care of other people around you. There's a million things going on all the time. And so finding something that works with you is so important. If you're really comfortable with the gym, or if that's something that you want to do, absolutely, I support that. But especially for anybody who's carrying oxygen, they may not be comfortable at the gym. Or if this is your first time at the gym, it may be intimidating. So finding some at-home workouts to do, whether that's your favorite YouTube fitness influencer. There's also online rehab programs like what Blue Zone Health offers, where you can do those kind of programs at home, especially if you're not sure what to do, you need a little bit of help. There are structured programs that can start you from the beginning and work you up as you progress.
And are these exercise programs appropriate for people wearing oxygen? You know, people think they're wearing oxygen, they can't do anything else.
They're definitely good for people wearing oxygen. I know that Blue Zone Health's program is specifically designed for pulmonary patients. Now, this may not be everybody's cup of tea, so there are plenty of other ones that you can do out there. The best thing to do is make sure that it's a workout that will fit with what you can handle. So if you are more comfortable sitting in a chair versus standing up and moving around and, jumping up and down, you need to make sure that you find workouts that have you seated in a chair, because the last thing that we want to do, especially if you have concerns with your balance, is to injure yourself and fall. And so try to find workouts that meet where you are. If floor workouts are really comfortable, you like sitting on the floor, you can do tons of exercises on the floor, whether it's, crunches or bicep curls sitting on the floor, whatever that may be. There's lots of things to do. And so just kind of explore what's out there. There's tons of different options, whether you like to go to the gym, you like to join group classes like something like a Zumba class that is a big group of people and you've got an instructor, or whether you'd be more comfortable at home. There's really a lot of different options on what you can do that may meet your fitness levels better than others.
I'm finding activities in my community that fit a lot of these ideas you're giving. For example, we've got an older women outdoor activity group. They like to go hiking and kayaking and doing different kinds of things. And if that's too adventurous for you, I also like an afternoon dance session in my house. So throw on some music and dance by yourself or with your family members or your dog.
Just looking at this from the standpoint of somebody who maybe hasn't exercised very much, and so we want endurance 3 times a week and weight training, strength training 2 times a week and things like this. And some people may feel like, I can't do all that, I can't do anything. But I think that it's doable if it's focused. And what I mean by that is sometimes people say, well, I'm very active, but they're not focused exercise. In other words, they get up and they're active. They cook, they go out, they do a little bit in the backyard. You know, they do things over here. They may go out to lunch with their friends and have to walk a little bit, but it's not focused exercise. The thing that will build your endurance and your strength is really focusing and getting in a good 5 to 10 minute walk, a good 5 minutes of just cycling, 5 minutes of dancing. You know, turn on those 70s or 80s tunes or whatever it was that moved you back then. And, 5 minutes, just focus without being distracted or, oh, I got to stop and do this. Oh, I forgot to, take this out or whatever. Something that's more continuous. Hi, I'm Kelly, a registered respiratory therapist with Blue Zone Health. Do you feel breathless much of the time? Are you unsure of how to manage your breathlessness? Is it keeping you from doing all the things that you would like to do? I'm here to help you learn to work with your healthcare team to come up with a plan that will work for you. There are lots of tools, tips, and tricks and breathing exercises that you can do now that will help you breathe easier and more effectively. I look forward to joining you on this journey and empowering you to breathe better.
If you've got a very busy lifestyle, working in some 5-minute activities is really important. We talked before about if you're raising grandchildren, if you're doing that, likely you're dropping them off at activities. You're waiting for them at choir practice or at baseball practice. So while they're doing those things, take that 5 minutes and walk around the gym or around the outside of the school for a few minutes. And that gets you out of the car and into some fresh air. Now that doesn't work today where the temperature is 1 degree outside, but maybe inside the gym or wherever the kids are practicing is a good place to do some 5 or 10 minute exercises.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing, when you say, Kelly, you were talking about being focused and doing focused exercise, there's some ways to help you keep track of that. So for me, my favorite way is I have a Fitbit. Now, this thing here is specifically designed to help you with your exercise, rather than an Apple Watch that's got 5 million different things, and that would definitely keep me distracted. I like my Fitbit because it helps me focus, and I can look on my app to see what all I've done. I can track everything that I want to be able to track. So that's really helpful. And then other people enjoy journaling. So you can have a fitness journal where really all you write down is what you did during the week. And you can write down your plans. So you can say, okay, well, I need to do strength exercises 3 days a week. So 1 day a week, I'm going to do arms. 1 day a week, I'm going to do legs. And 1 day a week, I'm going to do core. And so making those game plans and having stuff written out really helps make sure that you stay on track. And then you can just check mark, check mark, check mark as you complete things. And like we said, it doesn't have to be long. It can be a 5-minute workout. It can be a 10-minute workout if your schedule is really busy. Or if you have the time for a longer one and you prefer to get it done just kind of in a shorter, compact thing by doing one endurance and one strength session together, you can do that as well.
Absolutely. I like the journaling idea and also an accountability partner. Somebody that'll walk with you. It could be somebody that lives in your household with you, a spouse, an older child. It could be a neighbor, a friend. It could be the person that you're meeting for lunch. Hey, let's meet up an hour earlier and, like walk around the mall, not window shop, but, let's walk the perimeter of the mall, work up our appetite, and then we'll eat lunch. Or maybe we'll eat lunch and then work it off afterwards. But just somebody that will say, we'll do it with you, makes it much more fun, and it goes by fast.
This is a funny story. Speaking about the mall, my mom told me when she was pregnant with me, about 8 months pregnant in the middle of the summer and just extremely hot. She also had a 3-year-old, and their favorite thing to do was put the 3-year-old in the stroller, and she would walk me around the mall because it was a huge space. And she had the 3-year-old in the stroller who was happy looking at all the things around her, and she was cool. Whatever works and whatever really just allows you to get that exercise in, as long as it's keeping you active and it's keeping you comfortable and healthy, absolutely go for it.
I definitely think that's a good plan. I wanted to talk a little bit too about understanding, knowing your limits, not overdoing it, right? I mean, it's easy to overdo it the first couple times that you're trying to get into exercise. It's January, it's the new year, we're going to do this. And by mid-February, you're done because you went and wore yourself out. So we don't want to do that. So if you're going to start exercising now, once your doctor has said it's okay, take a break when you need to. You do your focused exercise. If you feel winded, you need to sit down, take a break, drink some water, towel off, depending on what you're doing. Definitely do that. Take some breaks. If you're on oxygen, definitely invest in a pulse oximeter and make sure you're okay. If you're extremely breathless, absolutely stop. And then if you have a pulse oximeter, check. Maybe, unfortunately, you'll need to start some oxygen with some activity, but better to have it rather than curtail and curb your activities according to your oxygen levels. You want to be able to move and get the benefit of the oxygen. So that's one thing I would recommend as far as not overdoing it, but finding that space where you're getting benefit.
And once you've measured your oxygen, you know it's not dipping down. It's still scary because you may get very breathless. And depending on how your lungs work, if you've got a lot of obstruction in there, your lung pump doesn't work. So just getting the air in and the air out is very taxing on your body. Doesn't mean your oxygen level may be low. It just may be that you need to do different kinds of breathing activities to support your lungs while they need to support your body. So that pursed lip breathing is very important when you become breathless during exercise. Slow down, rest. You're still doing it.
You know, one of the things that you'll learn in pulmonary rehab, I always liked to show a movie of a marathon runner, because if you haven't exercised in a long time or really haven't been able to exercise to capacity because of your breathlessness or not enough oxygen or both, if you close your eyes for a second and visualize a marathon runner, okay, they ran around that track 100 times. Okay, now the race is over. What do they look like? They're sitting there going, right? So the question I ask is that person out of breath or are they short of breath? Because they're probably out of breath because, heck, they just ran a marathon, right? And if you haven't exercised in a long, long time and you've got lung disease, you're probably going to be very out of breath. And one of the things you'll learn in pulmonary rehab is, when is that crossover from I'm out of breath because, yeah, I just moved a whole lot more than I've moved in the last 2 years, versus I am now short of breath. I've crossed that threshold. I got to stop, sit down, take my albuterol, and regroup here. And it's kind of a fine line when you're just getting back into exercising, but don't be scared. You'll learn it. You'll figure it out. But that's part of why, if you're going to be doing this at home, don't overdo it. Take it easy, ease into it, work your way up slowly so that you don't accidentally cross that threshold and there's nobody there to bail you out.
And one thing I wanted to circle around to, when you think about, okay, I'm just starting a program. Well, what happens if I've started a program and I'm a month or two in and I've gotten more conditioned, but then I get sick? Because I've recently had not only bronchitis, but also COVID in the past few months. And so it has definitely set me back. What I was able to do in September before I got sick is not necessarily even what I'm able to do now, a month or two after dealing with both of those things. So can you guys talk a little bit about what happens if you do get sick? Where do you go from there?
Well, you can't go right back to where you were. Just start somewhere. Go for a walk or do a portion of what your old routine is and just test your body. If you can't do it, you may only be able to do 25 or 30% of what you used to be doing, and then work up to that as you get better and your endurance improves again.
Yeah, go easy on yourself, especially if you've had COVID, which is still circulating out there. But go easy on yourself. It may take a while to get it back, but the better shape you're in, the more conditioned you are before you, hopefully don't, but before you catch something, the faster you will recover. So that's why we say now is a good time to start, because we want everybody to stay healthy. But if you do get a setback, you get a setback. You just start over, pick up where you left off, do the best you can. You'll get it back quickly.
How many years
Absolutely.
have you been thinking of exercising? I think about that a lot. I learn a lot about these things, but rarely will I implement them. And exercise is one of those things. While it's challenging to do, it really has amazing outcomes at the other end. So for everybody, sticking with exercise will really help many, many problems down the road.
I don't think that exercise always has to be the same. I really don't think that you always have to do the same thing. I was a dancer most of my life. That's what I did from the time I was 5 all the way until I graduated. And then I went to college. And, you're an adult, you change things up. I got really into weightlifting. And then I lived in the mountains. And so for the winters, snowboarding was my main physical activity. And then later on in life, when I was in graduate school, my favorite thing to do was bouldering and rock climbing. And then now I'm back into weightlifting. And so as you go through different phases of life, as you go through different things, you want to do different exercises, and that's okay. You don't always have to go to the gym and lift the same weights and do the same bicep curls. If you find out there's a Zumba studio down the street or well, not for everybody, but rock climbing is fun. If there's something where you're like, "You know what? I think that sounds kind of fun. It sounds different. It sounds like something that is within what I can do comfortably." Absolutely go for it. Don't feel like you have to do the same thing. If you feel like you're stuck in a rut, look for a more fun activity, something that can kind of change things up and get you excited about exercising again.
And there's a lot of programs out there now. For those of us who are on Medicare, there's the Silver Sneakers, there's Active and Fit, there's a whole bunch of free things that you can do and gyms that you can join. I would just caution you against joining, how do I put this, a big giant gym that's got a very young crowd, because when you go take their classes, those tend to be very fast paced. You'll get bored very quickly. Whereas if you joined a smaller yoga studio or just a smaller, neighborhood gym, if you will, you might find that pace a little bit more appealing to you rather than what I call the big box clubs. But there's a ton of free stuff out there, free memberships for Medicare. Even if you're not on Medicare, depending on your insurance, they may offer you a free gym membership somewhere. So it's something worth checking into.
And I do know that some places will give you like a day for free. So if you're not really sure what you like, you're not really sure what's out there, and you want to go to either a structured program or finding a gym in your area, you can ask to see if they have like a free day pass to give it a try. Because a lot of places will let you do that before you make a final decision, because you want to be comfortable wherever you work out.
Absolutely. One thing I wanted to touch on too was when you are exercising, when you've got an exercise program together, make sure you're not doing so much that it does you in for the day. In other words, you go out in the morning, you go to your little gym that you found that you like, you do your little workout, you've got your oxygen. Who cares? Nobody cares. You're working out, doing your thing. And then you get home and then you collapse on the couch for the rest of the day. That's not the objective here. We want you to be able to pace yourself so that you can do your workout and you can still have your social life and get what you need done the rest of the day. So just be careful in that respect, that you're not completely wearing yourself out with this newfound workout.
It's so exciting. I love the ideas that we've been throwing out there for different kinds of activities, because not everybody has the same mind, and we should all be doing other things than just lifting weights at the gym. Exercise means so much more to so many people.
Oh, I was a gym rat for years, and then I moved out here to the desert and started walking more and more and more and more. If I do my whole loop around my neighborhood, it's 5.5 miles. And I thought, gosh, I haven't walked 5.5 miles in a long time. So I walk most days, I weight lift some days, I do yoga some days, and then I'll go hiking some days. It doesn't matter. Just get out there, get your heart rate up a little bit, get moving is the main thing.
Well, this was definitely great talk. And one thing that I want to do in the future is go through more specifics about each type of exercise and really delve deeper into it. But I think that this was a good place to start really talking about the basics of physical activity and just kind of how to get started.
Absolutely. And I just want to throw in there that if you enroll in a pulmonary rehab program, that's one of the objectives of the program, is teaching you how to balance your activity and your rest and all the other things that you got to do so you can level out your energy for the day. So you can do what you want to do from 7 a.m. all the way to 8 p.m. or whatever your day looks like, and not feel like start, stop, start, stop. It'll help you so that you can get everything done that you want to do. So this was a great episode. Thanks, ladies. And I decided I have a new sign off, which is no matter what you're doing, don't forget to breathe through it.
Don't forget to breathe. That's a wonderful sign off. Thank you for a good episode. I'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Hi, friends. This episode of the Cozy Lung Lounge is brought to you by Hootenanny Joy, where your health and wellness take center stage. At Hootenanny Joy, we know how overwhelming it can be to stay on top of your health, especially when life gets busy or chronic illness adds challenges. That's why we've created self-study programs designed to meet you right where you are. These programs are simple, flexible, and packed with tools to help you thrive. And they come with something extra, access to a live health coach. That's me, to guide you every step of the way. Whether it's improving your sleep, learning to nourish your body, or managing stress, our programs combine proven science with practical, real-life strategies. You can work at your own pace, get the answers you need during coaching sessions, and feel confident you're making progress. Ready to take that first step? Visit hootenannyjoy.com to explore the programs and choose the one that fits your journey best. Hootenanny Joy, because your health deserves a little joy.